Talk about qualified immunity, qualified indemnity, whatever you call it in your region. Do you still have that down there in Louisiana as well?
Absolutely. It's all about how they want to protect and cover up for each other. But what we have to do, it's not about what they're going to do. It's about what we're going to do. We got to stop asking for the wrong things. And, I want, and that's what Louisiana United International is all about. We're here to expose this type of corruption, call these people out, get rid of them, okay? And then we want to put the right laws in place that would be that would protect the citizens and the residents of this state across the country. We got this thing right now, and Randy, I want you to speak to this, that, the George Floyd, what is they calling that?
What they got going into Congress, the act or something like that?
Justice Act.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead, Randy, speak to that.
Well, I tell people all the time, some of those bills, I qualified immunity to get back at and we need to get rid of. It's made up, it's protect coppers when they commit crimes, and we need to get rid of that one first of all. But a lot of things that we're asking for, that they got in this bill, that we didn't even ask for the right things. Like I tell people, we got to remember that the murder of George Floyd was convicted because they used his training record against him. All cops are trained, and the training is taxpayers funded. So there should be no confidentiality for your training record. I'm not asking for your personnel record. I'm asking for what we train you to do that you failed to do. See, I tell people all the time, what do you do with an officer who thinks that policy, procedure, and the law is for the stupid? How do you control that officer if everything you teach him is for the stupid? I tell people we give every officer power, and we hope that they can control that power. And we put them in a circle, and we surround that circle with kryptonite, I told Ms. Brown. And that's laws, policies, and procedures. And we say when you step out of that circle, we're going to use this kryptonite against you. So what we need is to get officers' training records whenever they come up in court. It should not be confidential. We should know how you're trained and that you ignored that training.
You're absolutely right, brother. And I'm going to read something before we go to you, Mr. Burns. I'm going to read something that Dr. Zena put here, that there is qualified immunity and then there's qualified immunity with the help of the courts. You're absolutely right, Mars. Yes, Maurice Mars was saying that you're absolutely right. There is qualified immunity and then there's qualified immunity. That's right. That the courts also go along with what's going on. We got to talk about the court part of it as well.
Absolutely. In the case of in Tangible Hope Parish, the sheriff is John Bell, the governor's brother, and his and the sheriff's wife is a judge.
What? Are you kidding me?
Yes. No, I'm not. You can Google it.
Oh yeah. Well, okay. Listen. That's. I mean, most of our stuff is a rigged system. We all know that. Everybody's getting shaken down, but that's a total rigged system. If you got judges and police officers, what else? And state representatives, I guess. Wow, that's a rigged system.
Well, and
Go ahead, Robert.
With regard to qualified immunity in the current legislative session that's about to wrap up in Louisiana, there was a bill to basically do away with qualified immunity, and that was going to be a tough sell. But as I mentioned earlier, if you can get the Louisiana Sheriff's Association behind something, you got a pretty good shot. Well, when they were offered going from $24 a day to $30 a day to house parish prisoners, they decided that, hey, we can go along with this. So it narrowly cleared the House by about a 58 to 47 margin. I may be off one or two. But when it got to the Senate and was going through Senate committee, even the power of the Sheriff's Association apparently wasn't enough because it got killed in committee. So we will continue to have qualified immunity. One police officer from Shreveport, who was with Shreveport city police, came down and testified and said, it's this simple. You do away with qualified immunity, I resign. He said the cost of insurance, and I know Miss Belinda has talked about to the police commission carrying insurance for those accidents. He said the premium would be through the roof. So he said no police officer could afford it, so he would quit. And
well, I will tell you this. Very lucky when I was on, I've been retired for some time now, but if some of the bosses that I work for ever heard that, you would be out on your bun tomorrow and there'd be somebody else replacing you in there. And let me just go back to a thing that Brother Randolph said, and Brother Randolph said right about the bad apples, but at this point in time, I'm not even believing that there's bad apples anymore, because it seems like the farm is poison. The land is poison. It ain't even bad apples.
And the hen house.
Yes, we've got a system when they are taught this that they think that they can do that because this is what they're taught. And a lot of times, those where it used to be a bad apple, maybe before, now it's just the culture. Now it's in the culture. It's the poison. The land has been poisoned.